Hello everyone, in this video we're going to be decorating an apartment using only City Living and Snowy Escape. So this is going to be a limited pack apartment, which I am very excited about because it's also a family apartment and it's going to be sort of industrial but have a lot of the furniture mainly from Snowy Escape, so it's based somewhat on Japanese apartments that I've seen on the internet, so I was just very excited to try something different to what I normally do, and I was very happy with the result. There's this channel you probably know, it's called Never Too Small, and they make so many videos about real small spaces, so lots of apartments and tiny houses. And they have many apartments that are in Asia. Many of them are in Japan or Singapore, and they've also a lot of apartments in Australia, parts of Europe, and some of them are in South America, so they are very cool and they are wonderful for people who love design. So if you don't know it, you should check it out. I do take some of my inspiration from that channel, and this apartment was no exception. And I just really wanted to use a bunch of the furniture from Snowy Escape because it's so beautiful, and for example this couch with the cranes in the pillows I just think is amazing. This living room is like really cozy even with all of the industrial walls and flooring. I think that contrast makes me love it so much. I did also add the kotatsu table because I felt that this family was probably from Mt Komorebi and they have moved to San Myshuno for some reason, maybe for work or some other reason. But I did think that they go to Mt Komorebi often, so they do still practice things like rock climbing, and they of course have a bunch of furniture that they got from there. Or I also think that San Myshuno is based in a few Asian cities as well as New York and other big cities like that, so it just felt to me like this combination made a lot of sense, and I was so very happy with the result. Here I am using mostly stuff from Snowy Escape. For example, that the snow globe is from City Living, and I think that's such a cool addition. These paintings that I am adding next to the door and the rug is also from there, as is the desk that I'm adding into this nook, but the chair is from Snowy Escape, and I just think that it just fits so well together. Even with all of the different wood tone swatches that I was using, because I think that the Snowy Escape wood swatches match each other pretty well. So I loved having the couch being one wood tone and the other little chairs being a different one, and I think that allowed me to not just box myself into the same wood swatch, and I just think that it makes this space look a bit warmer and more realistic and less like they just bought a whole furniture set at the same time so everything's perfect. But at the same time it is pretty perfect. And I think that having an office nook in this space made a lot of sense because otherwise there wasn't going to be anything useful in this space unless I was adding something like a bookcase, but I do have some bookcases in other spaces and that desk looks like it has some books, especially because the kids' rooms are a bit small, so they still have activities inside them, but having a desk was not a priority for me in the kids' rooms. And there is also a desk in the main bedroom, but I was thinking that it would make sense for there to be a family computer not in that area, you know? But anyway, I didn't remember a bunch of this artwork from City Living. I just wasn't thinking about it at the moment, but I was so happy to see it because many of it fits with the Snowy Escape stuff perfectly, and there's some that I am not entirely sure if they are kind of Japanese inspired or maybe they are like inspired by several cultures, because The Sims tends to do that, to have some sort of like hybrid culture. But that's another thing that I think it makes sense with this being in San Myshuno, because you would probably be able to buy a lot of this stuff in San Myshuno. And you know, I don't only have Mexican artwork in my house, I have artwork from several places, so I don't think that this is like bad representation or whatever. So at least that's what I was going for. If you have any opinions about this, I would be interested to read about them in the comments. So yeah. Anyway, this is the kitchen, and I really wanted to have a very small kitchen, partly inspired by those apartments and tiny houses that I had mentioned. And I think that having this be like this sort of very skinny kind of cluttered room makes a lot of sense. It's still kind of not disorganized at all, but I also like that there's a door so you can just close it and not look at the kitchen in whatever state it might be. But then again, it was like very, very organized. I have like this tea nook between the sink and the stove. Oh, and I also found that Zen garden decoration thing, so I just put that in the living room and then came back. And I also have a bunch of spices in this area, which are from City Living, and they are one of my favorite things to clutter kitchens with when I remember that they exist, that is. And I think that having this tiny shelf made a lot of sense in this space. And also having a bunch of these like tea canisters I thought was very cool. And the like plate cabinet that's on top of the fridge is also from City Living, and I thought that having some more storage above the fridge in that way made a lot of sense, because this counter set doesn't come with any cabinets, which I think is a shame, but I also think that there's ways around it, so like adding that kind of thing, or that decorative shelf on top of the sink. And since I was only using the base game City Living and Snow Escape, I did struggle a bit with finding enough stuff to clutter those counters with, but I think that I did make it work. This is just a family who has a bunch of tea, which I can relate to. I have a bunch of tea at home, so yeah, I don't think that's terribly unrealistic. But anyway, this is going to be the family bathroom. It has a very nice size, I think. It has this bathtub and shower area, and then there's the sink and toilet area, which I think makes a lot of sense to have if you're using an open shower, to have it next to a bathtub. And I use that divider from Snow Escape so that it doesn't feel like you're going to splash everything. Most of these things are from Snow Escape. The sink is from the base game, and most of the clutter is from the base game as well, except for the bottles of soap that I have next to the sink. And I also decided to have this. It's supposed to be like a rug. It's in the rug category, but I think it's sort of like a painting on the floor. But it's this koi fish that I think is very pretty, and that I don't think I've ever used them in any build, so I think that it's an interesting addition to that room. And in the first bedroom, I was thinking this was probably a child who was closer to being a teenager. I was thinking probably a teenager. I'm not sure if children can rock climb, but I wanted this child to be really into rock climbing. I'm really into bouldering, like the way that it's presented in the Olympics. I also watched a bunch of the videos from the championship. I really love it, especially when they are doing like these puzzles. I just think it's fascinating to see how different of a sport it is. They have to really think about how they're going to use their bodies and how they're going to administer their energy and strength. And I just think it's so very cool. It's not something that I could do at all, but I just think it's the coolest. And so I wanted to have it represented in this apartment. So I have a bunch of gear, a bunch of like winter stuff, and I also used this penguin TV on top of that snowboard side table. And I think it's just the cutest. I love the penguin TV. I haven't used it much since I started with the channel, but it just makes me so happy. And I also wanted to have a console so that that child can play video games. And I also made sure to add some clutter to it, like the simis, a basket, and yeah, like more gear and collectibles and stuff. And to make sure that you wouldn't see the leg from that table, I just covered it with a pillow. And then in the child's bedroom, I was thinking that this was definitely a child, so this was the younger sibling. And I was very happy that I got to use this dresser as a side table and more storage. And I also included that art table from Snow Escape, which I think is so cute. It has origami and like Copic markers, which was something that I was very interested in trying, but I never actually did try. But the people who draw with those make the coolest stuff, so I think they're so cool. And I was very happy to see them in this specific item. And I also have this shelf with some mountains. I don't think that this child is into rock climbing, but I think that they do really enjoy the mountains in Mt Komorebi, so I still wanted to include that. And I am using this closet from City Living. It's a bit large, so it was kind of clipping into the bed, and so I decided to raise it up a little bit and to include one of these tables as if there were some legs for the closet. And I think that makes a lot of sense. it does look like it's part of the same furniture piece, even if it's in a different wood tone, but I was using a bunch of wood tones in this apartment in general, so I don't think that it stands out or anything. And I also used some decorations from Snowyscape, but also the beautiful posters from City Living, which I really love, so I thought that was very cool. And then in the parents' bedroom, I wanted to have this bed from Snowyscape and the dresser from that pack as well. I didn't have space for a bedside table, so I decided to have a shelf instead, and I added these, just a few books and this cute little lamp from City Living. And I think that this worked out perfectly. I didn't think that they would need like too many things next to the bed. And I also decided to include some artwork, both from City Living, these bamboo pieces from City Living. And it just made me so happy because I do really love this like bamboo piece that I was using here. And I often forget to include it in my builds. So yeah, I was just very happy to do that. And I was thinking that there would be like some green items in here. So the rug is green and these paintings have some green elements. And I also decided to have this room divider, but only as a decoration, not to really divide the room or anything. And I really wanted to have this bookcase and desk nook in here, which I had mentioned. And I am using the City Living computer because it's one of my favorites. And I also wanted to have this TV just in this space because I didn't include one in the living room. But then I'm just going to be adding some more decorations from Snowyscape. And those books are from City Living, the ones with the elephants. I think they're so cool. But yeah, I'm just going to be adding some more decorations into this corner, and then I'm going to remember that I hadn't included a trash can in this apartment, so I'm just going to be adding one to the bathroom. And that's going to be it for the video. Thank you so much for watching. I hope that you enjoyed it, and if you would like to download it, it's going to be in the gallery. My ID is Veranio. Thank you again so much for watching, and I hope to see you soon.